Hello, it's me, Megan. I'm here in my apartment on Treaty 6 territory in the city of Saskatoon during the COVID-19 quarantine, and I have a story to read for grown-up story time. It is by Michael Chabon, who wrote this book of essays called Manhood for Amateurs: The Pleasures and Regrets of a Husband, Father, and Son. So they're kind of comical musings and a little bittersweet. And the story I'm going to read today is called A Gift. On my 28th birthday, I got a package from my father. A small padded Jiffy envelope containing 2 neat little bundles wrapped in white tissue paper, folded and pleated and sealed up in their pouch with the slightly neurotic precision that is characteristic of my father, and that he inherited, I believe, from his mother Irene, who wrapped everything, even the unpeeled oranges on her kitchen counter and the silverware in her drawer. He'd neglected to include a note or card. I unwrapped the first neat little bundle and found, in their clear plastic sleeves, 4 baseball cards, printed by the Bowman Gum Company in 1952, the year my father was 14. There was Bobby Adams and a Billy Goodman and 2 pitchers named Howie, Judson and Paulette. I considered myself a baseball fan and a moderately accomplished student of baseball history, but I confessed that I had never heard of any of these players. Thinking that I had inadvertently opened the auxiliary portion of my birthday present, perhaps some duplicate cards of my father's, he's a collector, that he had thrown in as a kind of bonus, I tore open the other bundle and found 3 more cards, also Bowman's, also in their archival plastic, PVC-free sleeves. A Mickey Harris, and a Vern Bickford, and then a Randy Grumpert. Despite the note of faintly derisive disappointment inherent in any sentence that ends in the word Grumpert, I was not at all disappointed in my father's gift. The 1952 Bowman cards are among the most serenely beautiful exemplars of a popular art form not notable, it must be admitted, for works of great beauty, serene or otherwise. The baseball card has generally and throughout its 100-odd-year history been an object supremely suited for insertion into the spokes of a bicycle wheel. Sorry. Though to the true fan, any awkward old photograph of some square-jawed, wall-eyed fellow named Carlton Molesworth in a peaked beanie, staring off into the outfield on some long-ago sepia afternoon, may have a kind of poignant charm, and though some of the cards of the 30s and 40s, such as National Chico's Diamond Star and those issued by the Leaf Gum Company, have a kind of flat, primary-colored crudeness that makes them resemble so many tiny Warhols, most baseball cards are, as specimens of the photographic and design arts, at best uninteresting to look at, and far more frequently, outright ugly. The 1952 Bowmans are different. Accidentally, perhaps, they attain a cool and evocative beauty. For one thing, there's no printed text on the obverse of the card, no goofy bird or sock. There's only a small simulated autograph, say, Randall P. Grumpert, modestly and dignified and perfectly legible, stitched across the portrait of the Boston right-hander. And the portraits themselves! The ball players have been depicted not in the usual glum mugshots, nor in the clumsy hand-drawn caricatures found on cards of earlier years, but in an odd combination of painting and photograph. Photographs not merely tinted and retouched, but painted over, transformed. Blood-red Boston bees on caps, radium white uniforms, dreamy powder blue textbook skies, all the colors rich and surreal, The lace cornices of Yankee Stadium over the shoulder of Randall P. Gumpert are a luminous cake icing green, his resolute mouth a jet black cartoon line, and one feels that these are unquestionably idealized paintings of ball players. But all the men have been caught in mid-wind-up, or after letting fly, or stooping to short hop a grounder, as only a photograph can catch a man with his mouth open, or his teeth clenched, or his forehead furrowed in candid anxiety over the location of his next pitch, or with his thoughts patently elsewhere, his eyes looking strangely lost and vacant, the way eyes can in photographs. And then, inexorably, you turn the card over, because the great secret theme of baseball is loss, with its teammate, failure. Reading the backs of cards is always an exercise in pity, and this is particularly true of the reverse of an older card, like a 1952 Bowman, where the details of a ball player's career are usually given not in clean, bloodless statistical charts of today, but in terse prose paragraphs, where they take on some of the mighty sadness of narrative, and each card can become the tiniest of novels, whose plot is the familiar tale of futility and squandered promise and a ball club's giving up. Howie Pollitt began the 1951 season with the Cards, in 6 games for them with no wins and 3 losses. With the Pirates, Howie took the mound 21 times, with 6 wins and 10 losses. Season's record 6-13. Led league in 1946 with 21 wins. Had 20 wins in 1949. Broke into majors with the Cardinals. At the bottom of every card is the send-away offer of a baseball cap of your favorite major league team, a $1 value for 5 waxed wrappers and 50 cents. The thing was, I didn't really collect baseball cards, and I thought my father knew that. During the winter of the lockout of 1990, just before my first marriage ended, in the miserable grip of a Seattle January that consisted, without exaggeration, of 30 full days of rain, I had dabbled in the hobby out of a kind of desperate yearning for a season that, it then appeared, might not have its opening day. But I've never had the collecting temperament, not the way my father has it, and when the package arrived, over a year had passed since I had bought my last card. But that wasn't important. I owned a little used copy of Dr. Beckett's Price Guide, in which I could look up the values of the 7 cards and see that my father's gift was a generous one. But that wasn't important either. That was what I was thinking, at any rate, as I took down the copy of Macmillan's Baseball Encyclopedia that had been my father's birthday gift to me in 1970, and I discovered that Billy Goodman was actually a pretty good ball player, who in 1950 led the American League in hitting with a .354 average, and that Vern Bickford, in the same year, pitched the season's only no-hitter. It wasn't important that I didn't collect 1952 Bowmans, nor care that they were worth, not really, or that I was finished turning each card over and wondering over that lost expression in Howie Pollitt's eyes. I would put them all away in my sock drawer and lose them for many years. They recently turned up again, ageless in their Mylar jackets. The important thing was the nature of the gift. Was my father's saying to me, after 28 years during which we had lost Roberto Clemente and our beloved Washington senators, and my father's mother and my father's father, and had split 2 divorces between us, and I had known all the usual guilt and bitterness and recrimination, and had moved in modern and terrible fashion to the opposite ends of the continent. Here, son, have 7 baseball cards. What's important was that baseball, after all these years of artificial turf and expansion and the designated hitter and drugs and free agency and $1,000 bubblegum cards, baseball is still a gift given by fathers to sons. And that's The Gift by Michael Chabon. And I hope that you'll listen to some more grown-up story times, and I'll see you again. See you, sort of.